Hey, sports fans, welcome on in. It is the Down and Dirty. So glad you could join us. Thank you. Like and subscribe, do all that fun stuff. And we're going to have fun today. This is going to be a good show today. It's April 1st. And April 1st, by the way, is my favorite day of the year. I love April 1st. I'm not going to pull any April 1st practical jokes, any of that kind of stuff, but I do, and I like it. And I've gone to some great lengths on some of the practical jokes I've done in years past. But I don't know. I need a little bit of a vacation. I love that the lengths that people go for April Fool's jokes and all that stuff. So my favorite day, but it's going to be kind of a tame day. I'm not going to make any crazy declarations that are a bunch of BS. So watch out for your social media. Watch out in the world today. Basically, everybody's lying. Now, if you're a politician, maybe the joke would be that everyone actually told the truth on April 1st, but we shall not hold our breath. We'll see how all of that works out. Fun show, though. We're gonna have a lot of fun today. Of course, the NFL has its owners meetings, and they've basically concluded in Arizona. And I just wonder, like, what they actually do in these meetings. Like, what do they like? Because there's the playoff or the college football playoff committee, and I know what they do. Like, they go in a hotel in Dallas, Texas, which is kind of a somewhat central location in the country, where all the people come from all over the place, and they get together and they eat ice cream and hot dogs in the Gaylord Hotel. I know this, and that's what they do. I wonder what NFL owners meetings are actually like, and how they really sit down and go over all of these really important things that are happening in the NFL. And part of it makes me wonder, like, how much the NFL actually um, maybe goes too far. Is there the potential that they kind of tinker with this thing to a point where they kind of screw it up? And I'll give you a case in point is college football. I found a fascinating thing happening, and that is there are people that are getting turned off with college football because of some of the things they're doing or not doing, or they've gone a bridge too far with it. And you have to wonder if there's a case, if there's a way to wreck a really good thing, because you've got people like Jerry Jones, who admittedly goes, I just want drama, and he's willing to fire coaches and trade away some of his best players, and in the interest of, I don't know, tinkering, like you get bored with things, and so you go, well, what if we did this, and why don't we try that? It's that whole thing I was talking about Coca-Cola. Like, don't mess with the formula kind of thing. And every time they get together, and I wonder if they're eating hot dogs, and I wonder if they're going a bridge too far. But there are a couple of things that came out of these meetings, a couple of rule changes, and one of them was assisting, because they've got this issue with the officiating and the officials, and the big holdup on it is the officials, are more interested in, perks, and they're interested in maybe more of a pension, or how do we travel to games, or kind of things, and the NFL is like, how do we control you and make sure that there's a process of accountability in your officiating. And so there's a stalemate right now, and last time it was ugly. And so the NFL has approved this idea of assisting with some of the penalties that maybe didn't get called or should have got called, and so it's kind of like, hey, we're going to try to help you out in this situation. And I think it's a really hard thing to do, with the with the kind of because they've had this challenge where they tried to officiate pass interference, right? And so they're sitting here going, "Oh, that kinda looks like pass interference," and so it kinda bogged down, the whole process bogged down. It's kinda like, prohibition, they tried to kinda manage, alcohol consumption in America, and it didn't work, and it's kind of, they're kind of sometimes there's just some things you just can't control and you're not gonna control. And maybe that's one of those things. I don't know, but um, with the officiating and the potential of these officials being held out or not being a part of the league, and they don't want to stop the league, and because you really have, well, you can't stop the league because if you stop the league, then you give the referees all the control, and so they don't want to lose that leverage. It's just like, hey, you don't want to officiate? We'll go find replacement officials and we'll supplement them with outside eyeballs to help when they screw up. Because, and I think what the NFL is doing in this is they're just saying we're going to screw up. If we have replacement officials, it ain't going to be good. And like there's going to be problems. So a very challenging thing there. Now the other one of the other significant rule changes is like you can onside kick now anytime you want, but you just have to let everyone in their freaking dog know you're doing it. It's like, yeah, okay, we're gonna onside kick right here. We're gonna fool you. And it's so funny. And there's one thing that I love about football is there's strategy and there's the element of surprise. That's why, I mean, if you're gonna tell people you're gonna onside kick, why don't you just say, here, we're gonna throw the ball right here. Okay, here's the play, here's the protection, this is the concept or hey, we're going to blitz you right here, we're going to bring this 7-man pressure or whatever we're going to do, and watch out for us because here we come. I mean football is great because you do things when no one expects you to do them. Like, it's called strategy, it's called playing smart, being smart, and this whole concept, and these are those points of like, yeah, you really go too far with this. And I'm not a big fan of some of these changes and the kicks and all these things, and we're just fine. We accept them. It's whatever, and I guess it works. I have no idea, but it's just it just seems like a dumb thing, and the whole reason for it isn't in the sense of, well, we're gonna tell you the onside. It's because of a penalty, and they would want to have the ability to um actually, if you kick the ball from the 50, it makes kind of some sense that, because you're really not gaining a whole lot of yards. It's just a wash, it's kind of a dumb thing to have, to do that. And so they would rather take the odds of, well, we might get an onside now that the percentages aren't high, but still they feel that they just would like the option. That's all. Now, clearly when you're doing onside surprise, it's usually like the kicker just kind of, bunting the ball forward. Like, that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the one because it's the shortest distance. It's, if they leave that big gap in the middle of the field, then there's that shot for it. But it's um just not having no element of surprise basically significantly eliminates or diminishes your ability to get the ball. And I don't like that. I really don't. I like surprise. I like, all these different things. And it's just stupid. I just find some of these things so stupid. Now they didn't really get into an 18 game schedule. And a lot of it was basically because of the new president of the NFL Players Association just being recently hired, and they're like, we need to indoctrinate him before we can get him, up to speed on. He's fresh and green. He might say no to this 18 game schedule. So we'll let him percolate for a while, and then we've got him tenderized and seasoned up, and we'll get him on our side basically. I mean, well, I don't want to get into all of that today. Other than the 18 game season, everyone feels is inevitable, but it's not something that they ruled on today. So it's like one of those we'll kick that can down the road. So that's kind of some of the stuff happening in the NFL. There's kind of I kind of want to go around the world of sports here for a minute and just kind of talk about some of these I don't know, significant things happening in the world of sports and kind of my take. So the World Cup, of course, is coming to the United States here or North America, you know, in the very near future. And here's some very interesting things that I think we all need to know. Italy, for the third consecutive tournament, so that's essentially like 12 years, has failed to qualify after a dramatic penalty shot where they lost to Bosnia Herzegovina. Um, and I'm kind of shocked by this. Like, because here's the thing, like most teams in Europe, like they're good, right? They're at least going to make, you know, it's a surprising thing where you go Italy is like, you know, is really Italy kind of out of it, but apparently they are, and so it's been a, if I'm one of the great players in the world, you know, and I'm like, where do I think I'd want to play in Italy. Like I think, you know, like if I'm circling Europe, and this is just me personally, and where I would want to like Europe, like Italy would be, you know, it would be top 2 choices, in all for me in all of Europe. It might be number 1. Shocking, I guess, to me. And of course, Iraq. They secured the 48th and final spot. And so they it's actually their first appearance in decades. And the DR Congo also qualified for the first time in 52 years. Anyways, amazing stuff. I know we're riveted to all of this stuff, but it's kind of fun to just to kind of go around, you know, the world of sports and realize some of these stuff. Now the NBA, if we're going around the world of sports, the NBA, it's like LeBron James. I just don't know how. I don't know how to take LeBron James. And there's always this debate between Michael Jordan and LeBron James and who's better and all of these different things. And LeBron actually has just passed Kareem for the most total wins in the regular season and the playoffs, which to me is, I mean, it's just it's staggering. Of course, Kareem played a long time, and I think LeBron, you know, just this whole and the Lakers. Here's the crazy part about all this for me is I'm almost ready to cheer for the Lakers. That's kind of where I am right now. I've not been a big fan of Luca in the past, you know, kind of whiny, all this stuff. And but man, uh like LeBron just seems to kind of be ageless. And I think what it is you watch you watch him play and he's just a power forward, right? I mean, he just really is this, he's just this force. And I think one of the things you really have to tip your hat to LeBron on is that here's a guy who had so much hype coming into playing and really has maneuvered through it magnificently. Like I mean, really has and is still doing it and is still in contention. Of course, the Lakers actually secured a playoff spot. And but regardless, it's quite fascinating what's going on there. Now, the other thing that I think is interesting in the NBA right now is this whole race for playoff seeding, right? So there's that you have the top and the bottom of the playoffs. Everyone who's basically been eliminated is been eliminated. Like they're out. Like there's it's not like, well, there's a chance, you know. So the whole race right now, especially in the East, is from like 4 to 10, right? So you have the play in, you have kind of the, that dreaded play in, 8 and 9 spot, and or 9 and 10 spot. And so, but right now you could be fourth in the East or you could be 10th, and it's yet to be decided. And I think that's an amazing thing. But again, you have to ask yourself the question, do we really have a shot to win? If we're that 8 seed, do we really have a shot? And I, sometimes, yeah, to some degree, but I just as a fan and as a fan of a team, I want my team either all in or all out. I've lived a lifetime of the Utah Jazz being just good enough not to win everything, and also not bad enough to get something. So that's no fun. Like being in the middle is just it's like it's just all or nothing. And but it's fascinating how it's very similar in a lot of the East and the West, how these two leagues are just kind of battling all of that out. Now, speaking of battling, Luka Doncic scored 600 points in the month of March. I mean, you talk about March Madness, and just has had an incredible month. The Lakers went 15-2, and I just go back to Mark Cuban and him saying, why the heck did you ever trade Luca? And it felt like it lit a fire under Luca, and maybe Luca was humble. Who knows what happened? But man, has he had a year, and and so and that's what you want. That's why I guess I'm excited for the Lakers. Is here's two really good players, and what can they really do, and where can they really go, kind of thing, because they could really do something incredible. Victor Wembanyama, actually, of course, he's come out and self-proclaimed, by the way, that he should be the MVP, and he recorded the third fastest double double since the 1997 season. Now, I think we're not referring to In-N-Out Burger, but if he was fast at getting an In-N-Out Burger, he deserves to be the MVP. If you want my humble opinion, so good for him. Kind of some fun things in the NHL. I mean, speaking of fun things, this is crazy. So there's roughly a month left in the regular season for the NHL, and only 2 of 16 playoff berths have been clinched. So 30 of the 32 teams are still in contention, and the number one seed in every division and conference is yet to be decided. So and there's like a very thin margin of, like, there's two points or less in the East and West for the playoff line. So there's some really, really great battles going on, close contests. And I think, so here you have the NBA, and you have the NHL. They have long seasons, getting to the end of those seasons. But what you're seeing happening now is this, like, excitement, this push, and it's not like one or two teams, and I think that's the thing that people really want. And I wonder if the NFL kind of said, listen, parity's a good thing. It keeps the interest and most people involved all the way up to the very end. We love a good page turner. We love, the surprise at the end, kind of how this thing turns out. And you don't know how it turns out, and so it's compelling and fun to watch as it goes on. Now here's here's quite an interesting thing with baseball. So Shohei Ohtani pitched 6 innings, scoreless innings, by the way, when the Dodgers beat the Galaxy, or the Guardians of the Galaxy. They beat them. How dare they? And here's something interesting going on in baseball. The Arizona Diamondbacks' Jose Fernandez is only the 7th player in Major League Baseball, and the second in week, following Chase DeLauter, to hit 2 home runs in his Major League Baseball debut. I mean, I think that it's almost like when you're playing in the NFL and you throw your first pass and it's a touchdown. Then you throw your second pass and it's another touch. I mean, it's kind of that kind of thing. In fact, I remember the first play I ever played in the NFL was what I thought it was going to be a touchdown, and it was against the Seattle Seahawks, Miami Dolphins, and threw a slant route to Tony Martin, and he's running down the field, and there's nobody there, and someone just kind of catches him right at the last second, and I was like, oh man. So I thought, hey, here we go. I'm scoring a touchdown on my first play in the NFL, and that was kind of exciting. The Mariners signed their top prospect, Colt Emerson. 8-year, $95 million extension, the largest deal for a player who's not yet debuted in Major League Baseball. It's like they're getting them young. That's what they're doing. All right. Well, I got one more thing. Oh, I don't even know if I want to talk about this, but we're going to. Tiger Woods is stepping away from golf again. It feels like that's what we say. Tiger Woods is stepping away from golf, and I think, to me, this could be one of the most tragic things I think we've seen in sports. I really do. And I talked about LeBron a few minutes ago, and about how LeBron, there's so much expectation. He handled it so brilliantly, and it looked like that's how Tiger was, and it looked like he was prepared for this and ready to deal with, because man, there was a lot of hype about Tiger. And then Tiger just like blew the socks off of everyone. Was this unbelievable, like, I mean, phenomena. Like it was insane. It was palatable with Tiger. Just being around him and being a part of that whole thing, incredible. And then there was that moment, and it was this glass facade, and it's never been the same since then. And you look at like people like Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus, and they maintained that aura and continue to this day. Now, of course, Arnold passed away, but Jack Nicklaus, no. And something changed, something really like fell off a cliff, and Tiger's health and the way he prepared. And I mean, he should have just been the most unbelievably dominant, without any question, golfer of all time. And I know it's like, well, but he was really good, and he was. I mean, look, the number of tournaments and the number of majors he's won, but there was a gap for ages where, and we're still sitting here. Tiger's 50 years old ish, and we're still like, he's going to come back. He's going to play in the Masters. He's going to win the Masters. He's going to, we're still waiting for the end of his career. We're still waiting for that final whoosh, and we didn't get it. Now, whether it's injuries, whether it's personal demons, we just didn't get the end of Tiger Woods' career, and it should have blown us out of the water. It really should have. We should have just been like like no question hands, because there is a question now, because Jack Nicklaus has more major wins. Like there's like, yeah, okay, Tiger, there, his legacy is kind of minimized, and that's really sad, because it shouldn't be that way. And we're still, I mean, there comes a point when there's so many vehicles flipped upside down and crashed and turned and twisted and all that stuff that should tell you, like, yeah, something's not right here. So I hope everything works out for him. And I don't mean this to be disparaging to him, but for whatever reason, whether it was injury or those, like I said, personal demons, we just didn't get the best of what Tiger, his true total full potential could have been. All right, let's take a break. We come back. Oh boy, we got a whole bunch of NFL news. In fact, I have stuff to share with you so you'll sleep well at night. And I know you don't want to miss this when the Down and Dirty returns.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back. April 1st, my favorite day of the year. I love to, it's the day I can get away with lying. I can just tell anything I want, say anything I want, and you just go, April Fools. And that's a good day. It's a good day. We should always have one day a year. In fact, we should all be 100% honest 364 days of the year, and 365, man, let her rip. Be dishonest, just lie, all those things. So that's my advice to all of you, is lie on this day and tell the truth every other day. Okay, we got some NFL news of notes to share with you. The NFL is 365, 24/7, and there's always something going on. Of course, we touched on some of the NFL owners meetings. We've identified that the owners eat hot dogs and ice cream and who knows what else. Can only imagine what those discussions are like. But the NFL owners did approve the Raiders secession plan. I know we're all going to sleep better over that one. I still think it's extremely weird that it's actually a story. I really believe there's going to be more that comes out from this story down the road. I really do. I think that I think Mark Davis has something up his sleeve, and it's probably so we'll see where all of that goes. But I just wanted to share that with you, so everyone's going to go, whew. I was really worried with what's going to go on with the Raiders. I mean, really, what is going to happen with them if God forbid something happens to Mark? I mean, or who knows? I don't know. And I know what it is. It's a part of it is this partial owner. He goes, look, I'm going to give you, I'm going to buy an additional 7% of the team. Okay. And see, you have to remember, Mark Davis, his claim to fame is that his dad owned the Oakland Raiders. So it's not like he's got his oil or he's got his Walmarts or he's got his Amazon or whatever, Microsoft, whatever big business someone had so they could buy a franchise. He was born into it. And that means he didn't have any money. So he probably just said, the guys who basically gets first right of refusal said, if you give me first right of refusal and we have an agreement in place, I will give you $700 million today. So Mark Davis goes, well, I need to run it by my buddies while we're eating hot dogs and ice cream at the owners meetings. And I'm sure they did. And I think, I wonder what each owner's favorite ice cream flavor is. Like, what's your flavor flav? I don't know why I think this, but Mark Davis just seems like he's a vanilla guy to me. Maybe it's the haircut. I don't know. Anyways, I'm sure that's what happened. He just goes because he's this is just a weird thing. So they got to formalize it. They got to do all the stuff. And Mark Davis goes, I just want money in my bank account. That's all I care about. Because I can't die with it, right? Okay. Aaron Rodgers. We all know Aaron Rodgers. He's one of those very, very good quarterbacks. By the way, one that I've always enjoyed like watching Aaron Rodgers play is enjoyable. It's one of those things I think for me that I like about watching the NFL. I don't like watching bad quarterbacks. Like it's just no, I don't want to do that. I just do not want to do it. It's painful to me. So I've always appreciated being because Aaron's been a phenomenal player and there's a part of me that my heart just really went out to him in the draft where the Alex Smith goes number one, Aaron Rodgers goes late first round, although he's still a first round draft pick, but he's the last guy in the green room and he just all alone, and that's a tough day. That's a really tough day, but he's made the most of it, and clearly they got that wrong. But really he got it right, and he went to the right situation, and it all worked out extremely well for Aaron. But he's at the end now, and the word out of Three Rivers, Pittsburgh, is that he will give the Steelers a decision by the draft. And as I read this, I was like, well, okay, that's because he kind of likes the drama of everything, right? And he likes to take his time, to be thoughtful and thorough and do all that stuff. And that's totally fine. But as I thought about it, doesn't it make a lot of sense for him to say, yeah, I'm coming back, like and to declare it relatively early so that the team can prepare, that they can get all the assets and everything they potentially could have, but also out of respect too, if you're not coming back, to just go, look, this game has given me a tremendous amount. I think far greater than I ever could have anticipated for a whole plethora of reasons. Money, of course, being one, and like significant amounts of money, and that's nothing to bat your eyelashes at. But just from that standpoint too, and so it's like, because I'm like, why is it? Why do we have to wait for this stuff? Like, why are we waiting? Like, and I get the whole. I got to go into the off season. I got to see how my body responds. I got to see, can I put myself through this again? I mean, I really understand that. But I think most guys have a pretty good gut feeling about, it's time, or nah, I think I can do it some more. Because to me, it just felt like how the season ended, that it wasn't the end for Aaron, actually. It never felt right with the Jets, but kind of turned a corner there in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh's kind of a Green Bay kind of town. It's weird where Aaron Rodgers is this. I don't know. He's this profile person that likes to maybe be in a low profile place. Not that Pittsburgh's low profile or Green Bay, but there's just a different demeanor about these places, and I think it makes him. It's a comfortable place for him. Again, just my opinion, but I don't know. When I felt like, you should you should say something sooner than later about your decision. Okay, Aaron Glenn, of course, he's the head coach of the Jets. Like I don't even think they should be called the Jets. Like a jet is amazing, like jet powered. We fly through the sky on a jet. Like jets are cool. Like they should be the balsa wood rubber band airplanes. That's what the name should be. And we're powered by someone's index finger and how many times they can crank up and get that many revolutions on the rubber band. But eventually, the rubber band will go out, and we will land. And most of the time, when we land, the balsa wood breaks apart very easily. It's very touchy, very sensitive. So I don't even think they should be called the Jets. But Aaron Glenn did something that I thought was massively bold. And again, I'm a big fan of being massively bold. I'm a big fan of just putting yourself out there, making that great statement, and just like that's a down and dirty thing to do. And I think Aaron did that. And he said, "Look, Gino's going to lead us to the promised land." And you just think of some of these coaches and some of the outlandish things they've said. You know, my former college coach Jim Fossil, may he rest in peace. He was the head coach of the New York Giants, and he said we're going to make the playoffs, and we're going to, and the team was not doing well at that time, and they, lo and behold, made the playoffs, went to the Super Bowl, and there's something about kind of making this statement because the balsa wood rubber band uh, airplane folks in New York, known as the Jets, are they need this. They need someone to come in and just say we're gonna just like Dan Campbell, and everyone rolled their eyes and everyone and it's unfortunate that we're that way because when we're not willing to think outside the box, we're not willing to be bold, we're just willing to accept things as they are and that they'll never change. And that's when things change, is when someone comes in and says, Geno Smith, who was here before, by the way, and wasn't really good in Las Vegas. And oh my goodness, this is one of those things that I think is a tough thing. So I liked it. And who knows, maybe they'll get some jet propulsion with the Jets here, and we'll see where this goes. Speaking of going somewhere, the Jaguars are going to Disney World. Nope, they haven't won anything, although they did make it to the playoffs, and it looks like they're headed in the right direction. They are going to Orlando. And this is in 2027. They're doing the final renovations on their stadium, and they need a place to play. So they're headed to Orlando, where the Camper World 65,000 seat stadium is there. I've always found that stadium to be. So I lived in Orlando. I actually played in the World League in Orlando, and I played in that stadium. And Orlando does not have, and they didn't at the time. They didn't have a college team. They have the University of Central Florida now, which is really rose out of the ashes, the largest university as student population goes in Florida. They actually built their own stadium. So you're just like, well, why is the stadium here? And I know they had the Citrus Bowl, and they've had, I believe, the Tangerine Bowl. It's just basically for bowl games and events, but they don't have a college team, they don't have a pro team, they don't have any team, and it's this huge stadium that just sits there. And you kind of just scratch your head and you just go, what is this for? Now it has, for me personally, a lot of fond memory. It really does, because I'm like, you know what, this is that was a very, very fun and important time, and a critical, talk about making a bold move. Going and playing in the World League was unheard of at the time, and boy, it was just such a fine thing to do. But I think about Jacksonville, right? And I think about Orlando, and man, why would you think about how the Raiders, because Orlando and Las Vegas, as far as their demographics go, are almost identical. So population wise, economy, it's all built on tourism, and people are, they come for the attraction. They come to see all everything that's there. The sports has really hit a high note in Las Vegas, and it's like, why don't you just stay? I know you're renovating your stadium, but I don't. I can never. I can never get excited about Jacksonville, but you can sink your teeth into Orlando because it's right in the middle of the state. It's got this great destination, atmosphere. The stadium, the stadium. I don't know how good it is actually. It certainly wouldn't meet NFL standards today. But could you imagine building an incredible stadium? Now you're close to Tampa. You're 70 miles from Tampa, but Florida is a football hotbed. Florida is one of the largest populated states in the country. It certainly can handle any number of sports teams. But boy, I just saw this and I was just like, so they practice up in Jacksonville. And I know Jacksonville's a nice place, but Jacksonville to me just never has felt like an NFL city. It's just like it just, and I know there's I just yeah, just never Jacksonville's in a weird spot too. It's just like, just kind of come in that northeast corner of Florida, I-95, and you just kind of zip right through Jacksonville. You just want to get through, I want to get to Florida. I got to get through Jacksonville to get to Florida. And you don't necessarily think of it as Florida. So I love Orlando, and I put a baseball team there too. I mean, they're having problems with all these baseball teams, but man, I'd put baseball team. I'd put them all there. Put a hockey. You got the Magic. A lot of great fan base for the Magic. Anyways, something to think about. Okay, Roger Goodell, and this is a sensitive subject with a lot of people, and Roger Goodell has basically said, look, I'm backing the Rooney Rule. And they've expanded on the Rooney Rule, and essentially in the hiring process, because they had 10 new head coaches, which tied an all-time record of coaches. I mean, it's a third of the coaches in the NFL were basically fired. And so you have this rule where it says if you are a person of color, then you need to be you in order to hire a coach, you have to interview at least a person of color. And there's a lot of talk in the federal government and that this actually is violating laws because it should be based on merit and not on someone's skin color, whether they should be they should be hired or not. And I it's one of the NFL's a really they've implemented this rule and they've expanded on it. So they've expanded it to include coordinators and offense and for whatever reason quarterback coaches. And if you kind of look at the NFL, for a long time, there are very few black quarterbacks on teams. There were some, I mean, back in the early days, there weren't very many black players on football teams in general. And that especially, in the South and everything certainly has evolved and changed over time, which is a good thing because basically what they've said is the very best players are the ones that deserve to be here. And I have to believe that same thing will happen in football. That like it just feels like when we try to force these things that it almost makes it go the other direction in some regards. Because I mean this rule's been in place for a long time, and I quite frankly haven't seen, oh yeah, this has been highly effective and has really worked out. It was like no one said you have to have a black quarterback in the NFL, and over time guess what? There's a high percentage of black quarterbacks in the NFL who are all really good. And they're there because they're really good. And so I just I don't know. This will be an interesting thing to watch and follow and see where this actually goes. And for me, I'm just like, I don't care what the color of your skin is if you're the best qualified person for this job, then it's yours. And that should be the way it is. Okay. We are going to, oh gosh. I got a couple of things I want to talk about. I'm going to decide which one during the break. So you have to tune in and stay tuned because I don't know which one it's going to be yet. And it's going to be a surprise. So this is Down and Dirty. We're going to surprise you when we return.
For 75 years, Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. No gimmicks, just durable, well-designed bottles built to last. Join us on our mission to amplify life, not complicate it. Because at Nalgene, what goes into our bottles matters as much as the adventures they fuel. Explore more at nalgene.com. That's NALGENE.com.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone and then you're gonna use the Kodak Photo Print app. It's going to print you a 4x6 photo. I am just in awe. I love how these turned out. Also, the printer comes with a free cartridge of 10 photo sheets. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
Welcome to Kitbag, the ultimate destination for football fans. Whether you're cheering for Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, or any other top club, we've got your team's colors running through our veins. From official replica kits to custom player prints of your favorite stars like Ronaldo, Messi, and Kane, Kitbag is your one-stop shop for all things football. Powered by Fanatics, we deliver to over 180 countries, ensuring you get the gear you need fast. For true football passion, think Kitbag. Visit kitbag.com today. That's KITBAG.com. Kitbag.
Farmhound's approach is a little different than a traditional treat company. We get to work with local farmers who are putting everything they can into regenerative farming. From the soil to the animals to the ecosystem. They care about how animals are raised and how we treat the earth. It's not just product, but it's part of that story. It's connected to just a whole lot more.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back. Down and Dirty, Scott Mitchell here. So glad that you could join us and be a part of the show today. Fun topics, some very interesting things going on in the world of sports. Herman Moore, my former teammate and friend, he's not a former friend, but he's my friend who is a former teammate, is going to join us here in a bit. But right now, and this kind of is a topic that we saw and dealt with in our time in Detroit, but so Jason Kelsey, of course, we know him for his famous speech after the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl and his audacious outfit, which was just comical. And of course, he's really taken on his persona and all of that good stuff. And so Jason's someone that I find interesting and watchable. But he brought up this point about so the Detroit Lions are asking for the return of a signing bonus from their longtime center Ragnow, who basically retired, and it's kind of interesting because he's basically saying, look, I have this is money that's been given to you. So Frank Ragnow, of course, is retiring, and he's like, I'm beat up, like I can't play anymore, and so you gave me a signing bonus, and now you want it back, and the team's like, well, you were given that money on good faith, and you haven't lived up to the good faith part of the agreement. And he's like, well, I can't live up to the agreement, and part of, the signing bonus, because I think every player in the world thinks of a signing bonus as, that's just mine. That's what I got for signing this contract. I signed and I got a bonus. And the bonus is not, it's not part of the contract. It's not, it's just because you're allowing me and you're structuring this this contract in a certain way, meaning I have a really low base salary right now. So in the very beginning of this contract, I don't have a lot of the money, and it's all back end. My actual base salary is at the very end of this contract. So in order for you to do that and to help the team out, and to structure it in a certain way, you're giving me this bonus. And these teams are now saying, you can't just walk out on us. We gave you all this money and you haven't lived up to that contract. We want our money back. And of course, this famously happened with Barry Sanders, Calvin Johnson. Funny how all this stuff seems to happen with the Detroit Lions. And you're kind of, who's right? Because you could, as a player, Deshaun Watson, I got my entire paycheck as a bonus. They bonused me $230 million. And he goes, well, I'll just be injured. Or, I'll see y'all later. Thank you. And that's the risk you run, right? From the owner's perspective. And that's kind of what they're saying. It's like, we just can't bail on us. Like, you just can't go, yeah, I don't know that I really want to play anymore. I'm just kind of bored. Rather do something else with my life. And so you take all this money. And so that's what it feels like from the owner's perspective. And I can kind of see that side of it where you're like, yeah, and there's even a concern with the owners who go, if we give this player this amount of a signing bonus, what kind of impact is it going to have on his psyche? Is he going to be like, I'm no longer like excited. I'm no longer invested. I no longer care. So I can see that, and I can see where some guys might feel that way. You just go, man, this is so freaking hard on my body. And this is a challenge every year. And it's like, why am I putting myself through this? And you're seeing more and more players at younger ages retiring. And I think that's a lot of it. I think they're just making a lot more money than they did in the past. And they just go, I don't need this anymore. So it's certainly a challenging dilemma, but from the player's perspective, it's like, well, no, hold on. That's a bonus, right? And the bonus, and it says signing bonus. So I sign this, and because I signed this, I get a bonus. And it's like a Christmas bonus, or it's a bonus because we've hit some kind of sales mark, or some kind of production mark. And so I hit it, and so the production is, I signed it. I signed the agreement, and I actually have I've met the requirements of what this bonus is, and that is that I signed it. It's a signing bonus. So I don't know. I'm sure there's a bunch of legalese in there, but it does. But back to Jason Kelsey's point, Frank Ragnow is a guy who's like, I'm going to be playing. I don't want to retire. I have to retire. I have no choice but to retire. And really, to me, in those situations, and I think most of, I kind of think all of the situations, well, here's the problem. Okay. So if you have all these players and you just they go sign, and then they go retire, and I'm going to take all the money. And you start creating a precedent, then you invite or, encourage people to go, just take the money and run. So I get kind of part of it, but there's got to be some happy medium, or you have to say, this is a front end loaded, like this is where signing is the wrong term for this money. Like, we're advancing you your salary, but then if you advance the salary, is it your salary? And now the proration is different. So they have to designate it as a bonus because otherwise it's deemed. I'm sure there's accountants out there that know more than I do on this, but regardless, it's one of those kind of gray areas, and it's really common sense is all it is. It's like if he could play, and if you can prove like from physical injuries that you can't perform anymore and you can't play anymore, then no harm, no foul. But if you're just like, yeah, I'm just you know, because I don't think that's right either. I don't think a player should just go, look, I'm out. Because I know me personally, it's like, man, I still wanted to play when it was over. So and this is a great opportunity that I just wouldn't want to give up. Either way, I just think it's kind of silly. It's silly. It's silly because the NFL makes billions and billions of dollars, and it's like most guys don't retire. There's a few, but really, it's not a large percentage of people. And look, if this is what I think you should do. I think if players retire, you get their signing bonus back, and you just spread it over all the retired guys and give it to them. We'll take it. I mean, I'll take the money. I'm happy to do it. All right, we're going to take a break. We come back. Herman Moore, legendary Lions wide receiver, joins us when the Down and Dirty returns.
Circulon C1 Series Clad with Scratch Defense Non-Stick. The luxury and confidence of premium clad stainless steel meets Scratch Defense Extreme Non-Stick that won't scratch, ever. With an ultra-thick aluminum core for high-performance heating. Maximize cooking, minimize cleaning. Discover the unmatched durability and elegance of clad stainless steel. Scratch-free, worry-free, forever.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. The grinder mentality that Randy and Brent Habert built into 44 Pro runs deep within our team. Every member shares a passion for the craft, the game, and most importantly, the player. When you step onto the field with a 44 Pro custom glove, you'll feel the difference. It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro.
At Matt Piffle, we believe in celebrating your journey, past, present, and future. Our unique personalized products are designed to boost your confidence, elevate creativity, and honor what matters most. From custom home decor to meaningful gifts, we help you cherish the memories that make you who you are. Visit mappiffle.com and start celebrating your story today.
Hey, sports fans, welcome on in. It's the Down and Dirty. Scott Mitchell here. So glad you could join our show as every day. Of course, it's April 1st and my favorite day of the year because I get to lie and get away with it. And it's the truth on this day. So, and I'm super excited about the opportunity I have right now to have my former teammate, NFL legend, Lions great, Herman Moore joining the show. So see, now I say all these things about you, Herman, that are nice and like, wow, man, he's the most amazing guy in the world. But is he really, because it's April 1st, and am I really telling the truth or am I lying? So you don't know that today, but I love this day. I love April 1st. I love the fact that I can lie and get away with it. And I've told some good, I have this friend who's just as gullible as can be, and I get him every year. And I gave him the year off. I just wished him happy April 1st this year. and just kind of let it slide at that. So I've started this grassroots kind of I guess movement and on my birthday, right? So and what I've decided is like everyone gets a holiday, everyone gets a month, everyone gets a day. So I'm turning my birthday into a national holiday. So it's the 2nd of January, which is right after New Year's. So you have New Year's and my birthday. So it's like a twofer, we'll just connect them back to back. And that way, and you can celebrate my birthday as a national holiday. And I'm okay with it. And I encourage it. And I say, take the day off, do whatever you want. And because I've made this declaration and I can do whatever the heck I want because this is America. So maybe that's your day, Herman. Maybe January 2nd is the day that Herman Moore is left in peace. It's the Herman Moore Peace Memorial Day. That's what I'm gonna infuse you into my national holiday. So we'll figure it all out.
Well, I mean, I would go with that, but it's got to be where I'm completely left alone. Like, I don't think you understand. When we ask for that solace, that time, it means no one's around, no one's calling, you don't talk to people. There's nothing to do unless you really want to do it yourself. That's a true holiday. That's a true gift. When you say, hey, what is your day? Some people may say, hey, I want to spend that day, vacationing, traveling,
Yeah.
hanging out. No, I don't want to do that. I just want complete, almost like meditation.
So maybe like Aaron Rodgers, you go in a dark cave and it's just silence and put, I don't know, you slap some mud on you and just kind of sit there. I mean, you don't have to put the mud on because that's going to take some effort, but maybe you just, I don't know.
I don't know what Aaron Rodgers may be doing, but I don't think I'm going to go do probably what he would be doing.
Well, he likes quiet meditation.
Yeah.
Speaking of traveling, like when you travel, like you go on vacation, whatever you do, are you a person that has an agenda when you travel? Like you go, I got to see this, I got to go here, I got to do this. Or are you just like, man, I'm just going to chill. I'm going to get up when I want to, and I'm going to go when I want to. And if I don't want to, I'm not going to. I'm just going to just kind of hang out. How are you like, man, I got to see this, I can't miss this. This is incredible. I got to, what kind of traveler are you?
I'm that guy. I plan. I'm definitely prepared. Like I prepare. Okay. I plan. Spontaneity is cool, but I like to plan what I'm planning on doing, even if that means relaxing. Like I will plan to go do nothing. I will plan to take in the sights or the experience if I already know where I'm going offers something that I would want to share that time with. And spend that time because once it's gone, it's gone. It's spent. So I typically will have my travel pretty planned out, even if it's just kicking back and finding a really good restaurant. Got my TV schedule lined up or whatever my extracurricular activities are going to be, and that's it. I'm a plan guy.
Okay, I no, there's no right or wrong answer on that, and I go both directions with it. I really do. There's like things, man, I don't want to miss. I want to make sure, but there's also like, man, I don't want to be so beholden to a schedule that it's like work or it's it's kind of I can veg out and be very happy on a vacation.
You take me as a guy though that would do a lot of things. Like you just would be a busybody. It would be, hey, from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. 11 a.m. we're doing this. And then from 11:01 to 12:23, we're doing this. Like you just, for some reason, you seem like you would be that methodical.
Well, it's 12:24. It's not 12:23. So yeah, the little variance there, but yeah. Now I sometimes, so I'm, but there is a part of me that's just like, man, I'm totally down for let's go try this. I'm always up for the adventure. So, and it doesn't always have to be planned out. Speaking of like just wanting to be left alone, there was this article. Jason Kelsey was defending Frank Ragnow, who the Lions want to get back part of his signing bonus, and of course, one of our former teammates, Barry Sanders. The Lions requested that from him as they did Calvin Johnson. And I'm curious your thoughts on, is a team entitled to get that signing bonus back, or because Jason Kelsey's like, look, the guy play if he could, but and it's a signing bonus. You gave it to him. Where do you stand? Where do you kind of land on, if a player retires, should he give back his signing bonus?
I won't say it's a complicated question, but I think there's two components to it. The first one is, from a business standpoint, yes, it's you didn't complete and fulfill the contract or the obligation to its fullest. So from a legal standpoint and a contractual standpoint, yeah, the money goes back. The team has the right to ask for that money back, no doubt. But then you have to look at the relationship side of it, and you have to look at the branding side of it as an organization, and say, for the money that we're asking back from this particular player, and whatever that player has meant, or you want to reward them, there's ways in which you can either ask for it back, or you can roll it in and say, you know what, that player's earned that. They've gone over and beyond even the time what we've paid. And you can make a decision. It's not a hard coded must be done type thing. And yes, some people may say, well, it wouldn't be fair if you did that to everyone. Hey, look, we did it with Barry, we did it with Calvin. Doesn't necessarily mean because you did it, it was business wise, yes, it's correct, but it doesn't mean necessarily it's the right thing always to do, just because that is still, in my opinion, that's an optional piece that the organizations get to determine if they want to go through with it on a case by case basis, or whatever the case may be. So I do believe that there's some validity there for the organization to sit there and stand on just principle and just say, listen, it's business. And then there's the other side of it, again, that I say, if you're looking at saying the players that are looking at it, the fans that are looking at it, when you're looking at marketing your brand and how you see the players beyond just the business side, you think of it as you preach relationship culture, all these things all the time. And then all of a sudden, when it comes to business, there's this hard line that's drawn. So that means you're either on one side or the other of it, and means that you're dealing with two different people and two different times. So it's unfortunate because it bleeds over into sports. And I think that's why it's always been such a bad taste between organization and players or former employees once that thing goes.
There's always the optics of it that look bad, and especially for someone who's been with a team, been with an organization for a long time, been a very significant contributor. It's one thing for a guy to go, hey, I'm new here, I get this big old signing bonus and I'm like, I'm out. That's disingenuous. But for someone who's actually, I've put the time in here, and that was Jason's argument with Frank Ragnow, is that, like, look, this guy would play, like, he's played injured, he's played hurt, it's not that he doesn't want to play, he just can't per se. And you might argue with Barry and Calvin, where you go, look, these guys still had something left in the tank. They kind of left early, kind of left maybe jilted or a little bit frustrated with the organization and where it was headed. Had a difference of opinion on strategy and how the organization was run, whatever. Maybe that's a little bit different situation, but regardless, NFL makes so freaking much money. It just looks kind of bad. But I even contend, Herman, that it's a bonus. Like, it's not your salary, and you got it because you signed the contract, and you signed a contract that was structured in a way that actually was favorable to the team. You don't get it. Your base salary is very low in the beginning of your contract, and so the signing bonus makes up for that difference. It's kind of balanced out over the life of the contract, but now they could argue, well, as soon as if you cut that player or let that player go, then all that signing bonus gets shoved into the present day, and then you have to be responsible for it. It just in my head, it's like they're trying to get you to sign a contract. They're giving you a signing bonus because it helps structure the salary cap in the favor of the team, but also that benefits you because you have other good players on your team. So you're giving a concession there, and in order to give a concession, you get something, which is money up front. And I think I personally think it's money earned, and so I don't think they're entitled to any of it personally. But I think no matter what, it just has some really, really bad optics to it.
It does, and especially given the transparency at the best level we can see it that the teams are making, plus with what the NFL contributes and the different TV contracts and all that. It's a lot of money that's floating around, and these are situations and things that don't happen that frequently. It's not like this is something that you're just plagued with year after
Right.
year after year after year as an organization. So again, it comes down to you revere these players, you want these players, you talk highly about how they mean so much to the organization, but then when it comes down to it, that seems to change when it comes down to the money side of it, which is something that you can't skirt, you can't get around. And to your point, the signing bonus, there is a benefit to the organization, to the team, for them being able to bring on more players, retain certain players. So there are some things you are giving up versus the guaranteed money. So therefore, when you get the signing bonus, that is to protect yourself as well. And then when you're asking for that back, um, that does it. I agree with you on the optics. It's just not a good look. I think there are fans who will lean one way or another on it, and that's fine. But when you're talking about a relationship and what you're trying to set as presidents to your rest of the players on the team, then you want to set the example. Say, listen, we're going to be fair. We respect you, because if I'm going to negotiate all kind of things in there. I'm going to change the language and the clauses in there that now make sure we clearly identify the signing bonuses and that you're not getting the bonus back. And I think that will change the negotiations and it will stall negotiations. So the
Did
organization's got to be careful what they open up.
did you ever have any unusual clauses in your contracts? Where there's some things that they go, Herman, there are days when you like to be all alone and you don't want to be bothered.
Oh,
You know,
you got jokes. Look at you, man. No, man, I had to be there every day. Hey, listen, the money wasn't big enough to have to get in there. It
right?
would be worth more time to sit in there and worry about what I'm doing with $350,000
Yeah.
on a base, or 450. This is a first round draft pick. The money was different. So yeah, and it got up there to be over $1 million later in my career. But we're not talking that it's money that it even pales in comparison to before this generation of players came in.
So the NFL had the owners meetings and a few changes in rules, and I want to kind of dive into a bunch of the different things that came up. One of them is so there's a concern that the regular NFL officials, they're having negotiations over a collective bargaining agreement between the owners and the referees, and it's not looking good right now. So the NFL is making contingency plans to have substitute officials come in, and they did this once in the past. It didn't work well. One of the things that they've implemented this year is the ability for the booth to kind of make some corrections, or have the ability to say, "Hey, wait a minute, you missed that," or let's talk through this a little bit. Do you like the ability of someone in the booth, like watching the game from a television set, in like New York City and Command Central, going, that was a foul right there. We need to call a penalty on that. Do you like that kind of officiating, or would you like it to just stay on the field?
Um, you want them to get it right. I think you can get it right when you're slowing it down and you're in the booth. It's going to change the pace of the game if you do that. I also think it opens up a whole nother box of problems, because now you're going to want more officials looking at more things, because you can scale. If we look at it from a business standpoint, that's a model you can scale. So every corner, every player, everyone, you can truly isolate and find out if there's a penalty or a foul or some type of um, um, activity that's happening that warrants a penalty. And if that's the case, it's going to constantly keep making this evolution of iterations to officiating. I think you either go with the simple model and say, you know what, it's an imperfect system. We're going to go with the actual humans on the field. We're going to give you so many opportunities to challenge it, and we're going to keep it more in this traditional sense with a little bit of layered in technology. or if you go into the technology side of it and those that are looking at it externally that get a totally different perspective, then you're going to have to change the rules and the pace and a lot of other things that happens with the game, because there are penalties on every play. There's penalties on every play. And how do you keep pace, and then how do you determine which ones you're going to let go and which ones you're going to actually call?
Right.
So it becomes more complicated the more you turn it over to that, if that makes sense. So it's, every time you start to evolve and you innovate or you change or disrupt, there's going to be problems. It's going to come with a cost, and you have to weigh that cost and determine whether or not that's something that you're willing to go into that abyss, or just say, you know what, let's continue to refine what it's traditionally been, and let's just try and look at enhancements or fairness of opportunity.
That was one of the other things that I was curious about. Every year they kind of go through and they have modifications to rules. They change things. They're trying to improve the game. They're trying to figure all this stuff out. And a really good friend of mine from college, one of my former teammates, been a long time Utah alumni booster, and he goes, "Look, I'm kind of turned off by college football. I'm just turned off by the transfer portal and the NIL, and are these players going to be here? And it's so much money just to have a seat at the table now." And he goes, we have this new NHL hockey team here in Utah. He says, I'd rather go watch that and sink my entertainment dollars into something like that, because I think college football has gone too far. I think the game isn't what it is, and so I don't have the same passion for it. Do you think the NFL could ever take the NFL too far? Could they, in their effort to get it right and tinkering and fiddling and with all the different rules and all the different options of things and kickoffs and let's change this, let's change it. Is there a bridge too far? Can the NFL go too excessive where they're just gonna lose everybody?
You know what? It's a great question, and I really believe they can. And the reason being is, let's look at it in this perspective. It is a human piece, right? You can't make it all digital other than the actual capture of the event. There are actual physical people who have to play the game. That's always been there. You got to have officiating. There are people on the field who have a bird's eye, not just a bird's eye, but they're up close and personal. They're looking at all the different things that are happening, and then they're making a very subjective opinion on whether or not to call a foul or not. Yes, there's an inherent flaw piece that's in there. But as you start to bring in all these other complications and making sure that everyone is appeased and everything, you start to now change what the game is really about. It no longer is about the players and players' abilities as much as it is keeping pace, entertainment value, making sure the sponsors are taken care of, making sure that there's brand impression and all these other things in different places. And you're shaping the game around the monetization versus shaping it around the athleticism and the actual event itself. So yes, it can go too far. You can remove, whether it's on purpose, whether it's knowingly or unknowingly, you can start to destroy something that was never broken, and you had the opportunity to simplify and enhance it through just using some of these technological advances to bring the experience for the fan and for the consumer, the fans, the sponsors, and all those that are looking at these sports. You can bring them in a different way. And I agree, with the college transfer portal and the NIL, it's a great thing to do the rev share. But when you just do it and you haven't thought it through and you haven't looked out and pushed it out long enough to say, okay, what's going to be the long-term effect and complication or benefit of doing this thing, then I don't think the NFL, and it's when you bring in technology and you bring in some of these other things that will accelerate, you also have to be accelerating in terms of how you see it going forward and being able to have that thought to be able to do that. And I just don't think that it's equipped, or the people that are making those decisions, and I could be wrong, are looking at the totality of the effect of decisions that are being made. Even if they think it's in this small confined area, it's really not. It affects the whole.
Yeah, I worry that, and I always wonder where are they going to push it, and when are they going to push it off a cliff? Because it just seems like some of the things they do, just like, the optics of it, I just can't wrap my brain around. And a lot of it's, the kickoff stuff. And when it gets kind of gimmicky, can we go the other way? Like, because you mentioned like there's a foul like on every play. Can we just go where there are no rules? Like it's just like it just go in and it's like, okay, here's the ball. You got 4 downs. And all bets are off. You can do whatever.
I think you can dial it back to, the rules, for instance, the contact rule. Like when we used to have it that inside of 5 yards, pretty much everything went, except you couldn't hit a guy in the face mask, you couldn't grab their face mask or anything like that. But it was like this physical contact happens within a certain space. If I ran an underneath route, if I was less than 5 yards, yeah, I had to keep my head on a swivel because a linebacker could take me out on the other side, or someone could come down and just blow you up, right? And if it's holding, right, is there a different way to define holding? Is it truly you can hold, but you have to release after so many seconds or something like that? I don't know, like, or within a certain proximity of something happening. Like there's ways to really dial it back to capture the flawed pieces and make it to where it's very simplified and streamlined, and get away from the technical pieces that I think are starting to become an issue, because now that's where it's under review. That's where we have to slow it down. That's where we have to remove the human element of saying, okay, this is what I actually saw, and then here's what it looks like when you slow it down, and I have super slow speed, 120 frames a second, and I can look at it a little bit differently. It becomes a different sport. So I think simplifying the rules, making it a physical game, making it to where there are rules for protection, but there's also an understanding saying this is football, or this is this particular type of sport. I mean, even looking at basketball, I mean, I look at what used to be called a travel and what's not called a travel now. I mean, the extra steps, and I mean, you have to unlearn some things just to start to compete around the rules, or to use those rules as an advantage. And it all of a sudden, it also will take your traditionalists, and will take people who are used to seeing something that doesn't have the gimmicks, and have so overwhelmingly the amount that says we had to make sure this stays at a pace and stays entertaining, even if it means we lose the soul of the game. Then yeah, it starts to go away. But when you're sitting at the top of the mountain, and you're at the summit of a sport and at a profession, and that being football, whether it's collegiate or professionally, then you get to set rules until someone comes in and disrupts. But now I think they're going to disrupt it themselves, more so than anyone else having to worry about competition. I think it's going to be the minds getting in there and overthinking and over tinkering with the systems that's going to cause its downfall.
So one of the things I wanted to ask you, speaking of like contact in 5 yards and getting blown up and all these things, what tricks did you employ? Like how did you combat defensive backs, like, and maybe some of the things that were they might have been questionable as far as the rules?
Well, I think it was fair. So think of it like this. So if you can blindside me when I'm going in the secondary to catch a football, then when there's a running play, you used to see the receivers crack back on linebackers, linemen, safeties, everyone. That's fair.
Yeah.
You can blindside me, I can blindside you. Inside of 5 yards, I'm a much bigger receiver. If you want to be a 5'10" defensive back and weigh 180 pounds, and I'm 6'4", 6'5", 225 pounds, yeah, I'm not going to worry about dancing at the line of scrimmage. I'm going to pick my release. I'm going to pick my side. I'm going to run you over inside that 5 yards. I'm not going to worry about you. All right. So the rules start to change, because then how does a guy like, so a Darryl Green's going to play off? Hall of Famer, he's going to play off, because if he comes up and he tries to press a guy that's that big, he gives up his advantage. So now it becomes a way in which you have to play within this defined rules, and you work around that as a player, as a system, or whatever. But when you start messing with the rules, and it's like, hey, let's see what we can get away with. Let's see what, over here we can take advantage of the fact that these rules over here are a little bit more, relaxed than what they used to be. It changes the game. And I think it also taints it from the standpoint when we try and compare legacies and eras of players and say who did what when, because the evolution or the relaxing of rules and regulations that have occurred, it changes the perspective, and it creates dissension even within the sport, because it's no longer an equal playing field as it was remembered by several, and even the players playing now are going to look back and go, man, we played in the hardest time, and it was this, that, and the other. And then all of a sudden, they're going to see other players going, man, your time was nothing. You guys were not as athletic. You weren't this, you weren't that. And it is a constant piece. So I don't know, man. I think you can get in and mess up things too much, like cars, right? I mean, I look at cars. You start to bring in a lot of these things. You get one thing that breaks, you got to take the car in, and it might just be that there was a chip that was needed. It's not even about needing to take it in for anything major, other than now the car just doesn't work at all because you've made it overly complicated.
You talked about Darrell Green, and I got in a deja vu about Darrell Green. I don't know. He was such a great player. And I don't know that did you really match up against Darrell Green that much?
No, they never really put him on me on a one-on-one. And if they did, it was always with help because I was just a disadvantage. Like if you were going to play me, they weren't used to handling big wide receivers. There were some guys before me that was at 6'1", 6'2", but 6'4", 6'5", 7 foot plus high jumper, good hands, decent speed and all that. I mean, it's a different type of guy.
See, I had my dirty tricks. Like I had dirty tricks. Like I
had dirty tricks.
Yeah. So and it it didn't happen often, but it was when you threw an interception, because I didn't throw very many interceptions. So very, very rarely happened. But
very. I mean, that's like me dropping passes. I mean, maybe once every 10 years.
Yeah. But when you do throw an interception, every defensive lineman, they want to kill you, right? They're taught that. They're, it's like find the quarterback, and so you're kind of usually behind everyone. So you're like in self-preservation mode. And I learned how, see, these guys, they don't come at you like stock block you, break down and get good hand position. They come head down and they're trying to just annihilate you. Like they're trying to just get the biggest shot on you that they possibly can. So I learned that you need to use that against them, like their leverage and their kind of out of control nature against them. And so I'd let a guy come at me, and then at the last second I'd sidestep him and I grab the back of his helmet and I just fling him forward, and he would just go flying into the turf. Like this, it's
like a matador.
Oh yeah, but you grab the bull by the horns as he goes by you, and he just goes diving into the turf, and so all that weight, all that momentum just goes right in the ground, and it was a great deterrent. And the funny thing is most guys are chippy and chirpy and whatever, and I did that a few times, and they just get up, they don't say a word, they're just like, man, that dude got me right there. That was a good one. So that was one of those things that, when the occasion came up and I had my opportunity, is like, all right, you're going to get me, I'm going to get you. And I got a few guys that way.
Hey, Scott, that was, that's a terrible story, man.
What do you mean a terrible story?
That was awful, man. So you've been a matador and you're grabbing the lineman by the horns and flinging them, and then knowing they're going to get back up and have 58 more plays to come after you.
Look,
and you're only getting that 1 or 2 opportunities.
I'll take it when I can get it.
No, I made sure. Listen, I had the little arm where you close to me. I just kind of fling you off and get that little extra space. I also had the one where, they say if the guy is sitting on the route, you slam into him. You go, bam. I got just as much,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
I can have that space just as much. Yes. I have just as much right to it as he does. So you slam into that guy, you go in and you do certain things. Yeah. So it was all kind of ways to get around that. That happens in all sports. But like I said, I just think that I don't want this sport to be overshadowed by the push for entertainment at a level that does not allow the sport to really breathe.
Yeah.
As it's become a passion and something of love and skill versus now is showmanship. And if it's going to be showmanship, they're paying these guys as entertainers more so than athletes.
Yeah. Well, that's what's so great about football, is that you have to give so much of yourself. Like it's a significant, physical exertion, mental. It's climactic, where every game matters. You don't have a long season, so it almost, it's like every play matters, and so that intensity of it is what makes it so great. And that's and losing that really loses the essence of, I think, what football is all about. So another thing that they talked about is expanding the season to 18 games, and they really kind of kicked that can down the road. Um, what would you be in favor of that?
If you get rid of preseason.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Would you
get rid of
be
preseason.
would you be
I
in
do it.
favor of getting rid of like all of preseason, just the whole, just do you think you need a preseason game?
No. Not in the way camps are structured now. I think preseason, no, I don't think you need it.
So so we just kicked that down the road too. And that was a bad question. Because I asked you a yes or no question, and I should not do that. But okay, so
I mean, I can expand on it, but it's like, yeah, I mean, it's if you want me to expand on it, but no, it's I think there's some benefits to doing it that way from a fan and player piece. But again, you start to get in. We know it's about monetization. We know it's about getting rid of meaningless, the preseason games. A lot of people want to still try and say, oh, we need no, there's a lot that's happening in evaluation in the way camps are structured now, especially when teams are traveling to teams and playing them, stuff like that. That's greater than an evaluation and what you're going to get in a preseason game, because all the players are participating. So you're getting footage on all of them at a different level that can be kind of orchestrated, so that you can really truly get what you're trying to get accomplished on 1-on-1, 7-on-7s, full team drills, and all those other things. So, I see that as being a benefit, and then also potentially, it could. I think it can enhance the opportunities and the structure when teams are having slow starts and stuff like that.
do you think, because I think in the offseason with the OTAs, there tends to be more of the players are in the facilities more. They're having more team activities in the offseason. And you talk to people like the Patriots and Tom Brady's, like they swear by those times together. That's one of those things that really helped them during the season. Do you think, what do you think it would have been like in our era? Like, do you think that's a beneficial thing to have everyone working out at the facility, more of, I want to say like a college, but kind of like a college, and actually having more time working together as a team in the off season, or is it too much, or going back to the beginning of our conversation, do you just need those days where you just don't want to be bothered by people?
Everything has to have a balance, and when you make it that be the be all end all, it can get overwhelming, depending on the person. You're dealing with different people. Some people want to be in the space. They want to live, breathe it. Then there are others who say, you know what, I'm going to do it in a balanced way that allows me to have a balanced life and lifestyle. And then it also allows me to have a certain level of, comfort and not burnout from the game itself. I think it's all about culture and environment. If the culture and the environment and the purpose is there and it's all aligned, I think you could do a lot of things on a regular basis without burnout. I would say this though: who's actually creating the schedule? Who's saying this is the best approach, and this is the amount of time we need to spend together in order for us to be successful? Versus someone else who may say, I think we don't need this. We need to cut this by 50%. And if that team has success, then does that become the standard? Like, how do you determine whether or not that's the best move? A lot of people will say because you're able to install more plays, you're able to rep it more, and you're able to do it more. That's true. But what if you have a team that's done it on a regular basis, and now it's about understanding the cycle of being prepared without burnout and without wear and tear? So I think that I'd be more concerned, or not concerned, or interested in finding out, like, how do they come up with best practice, best way? Like, someone does it. Like, you think about it, it's a follower type league. I saw this team doing it and they had some success, so that's what we're doing. Or I came from this system, we did it there, so we bring it over here, and now we're going to do it. Now I believe that coach, and now that coach is going to do it this way. Like, where's the magic? Where's the science? Where's the fact and facts that behind it that says this is why we do it, because it is a proven, and it's never been disproven that there's no flip side to this. Because I always think there's two sides to a coin, man. Like, it's never really been challenged. And then you're at a league where it's tough to challenge anything other than because I said so.
Yeah, you know, back in the day, the 49ers very rarely practiced in pads. Everything was just all about tempo, and then they had great teams, with Bill Walsh, and then you have Parcells, who you have Joe Gibbs. These guys were in pads on Friday. They were like, very physical, and they had success. So to your point, yeah, I think it's very different for every team. And now the collective bargaining agreement kind of manages time to some degree. That you're allowed this much time, you're allowed this much physical contact. Practices, are different in training camp as opposed to how they used to be. There's, they monitor the players. Your output is just a little high. We got to kind of cut you back right now. So it's a fascinating thing, and certainly I'm sure these teams study it extensively to figure out, hey, what's the very best thing to do. But I don't know. I was just thinking about, but to me it's more the culture part. If you're spending time together, then you're like, is that beneficial? Or it's like, man, man, we're all in here, we're working hard, we're working to one purpose, we're bonding, we're all on the, the same page and whatever. Or is it like, man, this is just, I'm just tired of these guys. I've seen enough of them. I just, it's not getting what. So to me, I go more to the culture side of it than, and I think part of it for me, the reason is because as a professional athlete, it's really easy to get isolated, and because you're kind of an independent contractor working for a team, and you're so focused on, man, I got to do my job or I'm not going to be around. And there's that kind of mentality, I think, with a lot of players, and so you kind of just get kind of within yourself and I think kind of being as a collective group and knowing, hey, we got each other's back, we're all here in this together. I think it is a very beneficial thing. I think it help a lot of players who kind of feel that isolation.
I'm sitting there thinking as you're speaking, and I kind of think back to just the people that we've come across. You come across the different types of coaches and the philosophies and all these things. And I'm gonna ask you this. When you think back about how many of those individuals, now that you're an adult, like we are very impressionable, and when we're younger, right? You think back and you go, we were in our 20s, right? Our 20s, right? We weren't these 30, late 30s, early 40, when you really start to come into who you are and understanding, like from a wisdom standpoint, you start to acquire all this knowledge through experience. And that we sit here and we're buying into these individuals as if they truly know what they're talking about. And I look back and I think back on a lot of things that I've endured, and even how I acted, how these adults, like truly seasoned, supposed to be wiser people, were acting. And I look back and I go, they're not really a whole lot of bright people. Now, I mean, some people are gonna hate me saying that, but you think back, they only know one thing. They know practicing, they know sports, they know pushing athletes, they know, but they don't understand dynamics outside of that, meaning communication, teaching, so that it's learnable, it's engaging people to make them feel inspired to do certain things beyond just the money. Because the money is one thing, but when I got to deal with you every day and I got to even hear your voice, that in itself sometimes takes conditioning to even understand how to receive information that people are giving you, and then how to also articulate back to them what you're saying without offense, or to keep the conversation moving, or to make sure you're on the same page. I look at the art of communication, and how much goes into that. And I look back at the people that sometimes are trying to do that, and you go, these are the worst. These are people I would not trust to teach a person anything. And yet they're in the position of influence. And that's why I look at this and I just go, sometimes whoever comes up with all this stuff and we go, that person's a genius. I go, wait till you get a little bit older. Wait 15, 20 years down the line when you've had a little bit more experience and you have to understand the dynamics of how truly people should respond and act, and even how an organization should act as a business, and what's business acumen and etiquette and responsibility and culture and all these things. And I look back and I go, half of this is crap. It is awful. And I will see those people now as an adult. I want to slap the hell out of one of them. Really, I'm being honest. And just like, dude, how can you abuse that position of power when you wouldn't even talk to your own kids like that? And we were kids.
Right.
Think about it. I look at my son, he's 33 years old. It is no way if I go back and go, let me talk to him when he was 25. Like, I would hear some of these coaches, and it's not about the money. It's not about the sports. It's about how do you build the right people to go out and perform at the highest level? How do you equip them? How do you motivate them? How do you teach them discipline and accountability? And they're not equipped for that. They're equipped to say, here's a playbook. Do what I said. You either did it right or you did it wrong based on what I think, even though I've never played that position. And then you got people who've never even played that position that's trying to tell you from a very detailed level how to do your job. Think about that. You can't even go into the work world right now and be like, that guy's over here. Teach me. You can't even go to McDonald's and say, I'm going to teach you how to do fries when all you've ever worked on is burgers. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the person doing the fries be like, man, get out of here. You know, you don't even know fries like I know fries. I'm the fry master.
Speaking of fries.
So I have to listen sometimes at what we're talking about here. And I try and be real professional when we're on here, and I try and really dial it in, man. But
I don't know why.
Sometimes I got to just let it go.
You just need to let it go.
I've learned so much, man, and looking back. And there's so many apologies that I think I need in terms of sometimes behavior, in terms of how I handle some things. But 90% more than that, I look at these adults and go, dude, it's amazing.
Okay.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. So let's start with fries, and we'll unpack the rest of this.
Lightly salted, man.
Yeah. So apparently because of these weight loss drugs, the farmers, and this is a true story, this is no April Fool stuff. Apparently the farmers have had a massive surplus of food because people aren't eating certain types of food that they were in the past. And one of them is potatoes, which make French fries. So in fact, over in England, I think there's a massive amount of an excess of potatoes. So that's one of those unintended consequences of trying to get skinny and the drugs of the world today. Now, as far as because you're mentioning about some of the people that we came in contact with, and so Coach Shula, right, who won more games than anyone in professional football ever, still to this day. And I remember getting drafted, and I'm like, oh man, I'm going to the Miami Dolphins. It's Don Shula, this is be unbelievable. And I go to my first practice, I go to my first meeting, I'm there, and I'm like, what's all the magic? Like I was disappointed. Like I was like, this is it. Like we're doing form tackling drills. Like it was the most, like it never changed. The practice schedule never changed. The offense never changed. Nothing ever changed. And Coach Shula, like he ruled with an iron fist. Like he was always in your face. He was screaming and yelling at you. I mean, we had weigh-ins like every Thursday, and he would just humiliate guys in the meeting if they were overweight. Like he was just like, and he would announce, he'd go, we got any overweights today? And the coach would announce, and Coach Shula would get up there for 10 minutes and just rant on, and 10 minutes of his pot belly, he's ranting about, how horrible it is that you're out of shape and you're disrespecting your body and your career and all of these things. And I had a great experience with him. He was an unbelievable coach, but that it was his depth. Like he was a football coach, and that was kind of who he was and what he was, and beyond that, it was nothing. And I think in as a person, I think he was a very good person, a very compassionate person, but you never, man, you just saw the wrath of Shula, and he was just and I hated him. I was terrified of him. I had to sit next to him every day, but when you mentioned like this greatness, and the greatness of him to me has always been that he just had the ability to stay focused on something, and he just wouldn't let it go. And so you fundamentally were just you mastered a lot of those fundamental things, and because of that, it gave you a really good foundation with which to play games. But as far as any great wisdom or things like that, I don't, I'm not sure that I saw it. And this is from the guy who won more games than anyone in the NFL.
When you look at and we start to define greatness and we start to assign these labels and these tags, they're usually pretty shallow. And if you were to challenge people and go, well, why did you use the word great? Why did you say this person was this, this, and this? And then if you go and identify 10 more people that are like that, which I go, would you say that these people are great? And it's like, it changes. So it's so subjective. We don't root a whole lot of anything in objective conversation or receipts or reason. We assign, and then it becomes almost like this folklore, and it can never be erased because someone said it back then and they said it, and then you never go back to challenge the system. The minute you start doing that, I even thought about like when I was in practice, and I'll use this real brief as a point, and I won't name the coach, but they would always talk about, trying to do certain things with footwork. And then, okay, I believe that there's multiple ways to get to the same solution. And then there's a collaboration that has to take place between the philosophical side of it and then the actual physical doing. And you mesh those and you have conversation and collaboration, and then you come up with the best scenario that you both are going to kind of judge how you get to success by looking at that. Again, this is all later, of course, in life. And I'm thinking about how I've matured and all these things. And I used to go, hey, if the guy's giving me, is playing off, why would I dance at the line of scrimmage? Because I'm not really in an immediate danger of being, pressed or anything like that. Why don't I just pick a side and go? I'm a big guy. I have the leverage. I have the size. They wanted me to dance at the line. So I would dance at the line of scrimmage and work my footwork and look really, really cool. And then I would get jammed because I gave the leverage away back to the person who could just sit there knowing that if they look at my waist, unless my waist and certain parts of my body were to go in opposite directions, you had to just look at one part of me and then just attack that because it's going to be stationary. And we would argue about that. And I'm going, that is the most simple thing to understand. If I have size advantage, why not just pick the side I want to go and go? There's no abatement, there's no whatever. And then I was basically looked at like I'm talking back and I'm a problem. Right. Because now you've put me at a disadvantage, and you've caused me to give up my advantage that I've worked my craft on in actual usage to get to this point. But because you philosophically have been able to apply this thing across multiple players who are all different, then all of a sudden now I'm the problem because it goes against your system. These are the mentalities that we have to deal with sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'm saying players can do that as well. Think they know it and they don't know what they're talking about, and they are not listening to instruction that can make them better. So it's two sides to that. So that's all I say. It's like we go in here and we no one wants to do the homework and go, well, why did you say that person's a great person? Why do you crown that person as being the best player, coach, receiver, running back, quarterback of all time? Like what are you basing that on? And we're so shallow when we throw things out there like that.
Well, and even like, why do we even do it? Period. Like, who cares?
I don't know.
I mean, because
that's you and me all day.
Because
who cares?
Because you're never in an apples to apples scenario ever, because it's different eras, it's different coaches, it's different. It's there. You can't. I mean, just the whole thing. You can't sit here and go, well, it's he's clearly the better player. It's like, and I don't know why we do it, because maybe we get bored and we just decide that we have to do that. Okay, I have one. Oh, I got a lot of questions. I'm not going to get to all of them today, which is fine. This is fun stuff. But what is your favorite planet besides Earth?
My favorite planet.
Yes. Because you mentioned this about planets, and you said, "Oh, let's get into a planet conversation."
I would probably say, and this is only because I've watched a lot of the planetary system and stuff like that. It's not so much about the planets anymore, man, as much as it is about the
Oh,
moons or the satellites. Right? Some of those are a little bit more habitable than the others. Yeah, I'm struggling with that word, but you know, when you look at those, the atmosphere, the Earth-like conditions are there in other places throughout our galaxy.
yeah.
Maybe not within our solar system, but there's some of the satellites and some of the moons and stuff like that are probably the better than the planets themselves, that we know of, the major planets in our planetary system.
So the moons are better than the planets.
Some of them are, I think, would be a little bit more as far as exploration, which I'm pretty sure we've already done, and we're doing a lot of that are top secret. That's going to be highly classified, because it's got some government pieces in there, and of course.
So which moon is it? Jupiter's moons? Who has the best moons?
Yeah, you're going to probably go more out towards the gas planets. So you're going to be out towards Titan. There's yeah, I'll probably say any that you would find where there's ice caps, because you're going to need water, and then you got to look for atmosphere, and you got to look and see which ones are from a climate standpoint, are there. I mean, they're not going to be the greatest situation. We're in the Goldilocks, right? The Earth is really the one that kind of gives you the best of all worlds. But there are planets that are outside of our solar system that sit outside of our galaxy a little bit, that we could someday, if we figure it all out. We probably have that technology right now to travel. I'm just interested to see if we can just colonize or get on another planet. That'll be interesting to see. Because none of these are going to last forever anyway.
Yeah. So they're going back to the moon. Like, they're working on
I plan on looking at it tomorrow.
Yeah. So if you had a chance to go to the moon, would you go? Would you be a person that would be interested in getting in a rocket ship and landing on the moon?
Maybe later in life. Like, I don't know if it's something I would want to. It's
like at what point later? Like 70?
Or 75. Once I hit 75, all bets are off, man. Like, it's like,
how in the world are you going to go into outer space at 75? Like, you probably wouldn't
look at me now. Look at me now. Like, it's I stopped aging after 49. So
I see.
You just start putting little plus signs on behind it, but that's about it. Come on. No. I plan on, if you don't keep your health, it doesn't matter. So I try and keep my health. I try and do what I can. If I'm blessed to get up there and I hit like 75 or so, yeah, man, I'm gonna try a whole lot of things. I won't mention all the things I'm gonna try here today on the show, but I'm gonna tell you that in itself would be a journey. That would be Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime worthy.
Yeah.
Like, follow me around type. What in the world is Herman Moore doing right now? And it would be must watch. I plan on experiencing the world at a different level.
All right, let's go do it. Go.
Promises, man.
No, let's go. I'm ready. I'm ready. I got over my pneumonia. I'm ready to go. Let's do it.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm going turkey hunting probably later on this month.
Have you ever been turkey hunting?
I've never been turkey hunting, and I've done my clay shooting. I've done deer hunting and some of those other things.
Okay. When are you going turkey hunting? I want to go. I just want to.
And we're going to film it.
I want to go see it. I just want to see it.
Listen, man, I have a great group of guys here in Michigan that are big in doing movies and episodes, and they work a lot with a lot of the large streaming platforms, creating content. And so we're going to start putting together a couple episodes of hanging with Herman and doing a couple things around Michigan. But it's easy to change and edit that name, man. Hanging with Scott and Herman,
All right,
Mitchell and Moore. We can do whatever, man. Like we've said, we're going to do it a little bit. So I think it'd be great. I'll get you the dates, and we'll do it.
I'll do it. I'll be happy to do it. All right, that'll do it for today. Thank you, Herman, for joining us. Hope you have a great day, and always an awesome conversation.
Yeah, likewise, man. Glad to see you feeling better.
Oh, me too. All right, this has been the Down and Dirty Scott Mitchell. So glad you could join us. Thank you. Have a great April 1st. Make sure you lie all day long and then tell the truth tomorrow. So thanks, Zach, and of course, Martin, for all your help. This has been the Down and Dirty Scott Mitchell. Until then, we'll see you then.